Congratulations. You've been seeing the incorrect movie all your life. That comfy little story you've been telling yourself, that average person peering back at you in the mirror, is not who you really are. It's a cover narrative, a civilian masquerade that is so compelling that you begin to believe it. While you were busy appearing to be normal, playing by their rules, and faithfully following their script, something else was going on in the background of your own life. They noticed. They were watching. And suddenly the phone starts ringing. It's a call you've been waiting for your whole life. A summoning to the reality you were meant to be in. This is not just a message, it is an activation. What you are going to learn about yourself will shatter your cozy image of a life and expose the murderous operator who has been molded in secret all along. The phone rings from an unfamiliar number, and your pulse skips a beat, not because of terror, but because of a deep, basic feeling of familiarity. Deep down, in your core, you knew this call would come. "We've been watching you," the voice says, and all of the confused, terrible, and solitary moments in your life become terrifyingly clear. This is not about what you believe you know about yourself. It's about what they saw when you were not paying attention. They've been studying your patterns, your micro-expressions, the uncanny way you read people before they speak, and the almost magical serenity with which you negotiate pandemonium while everyone else is drowning in their own anxiety. They don't hire the obvious candidates, the noisy, flamboyant, and needy ones pleading for attention. No, they seek for the invisible masters, those who survived by becoming psychologically untouchable, those who learned to transform agony into power, rejection into strategic advantage, and isolation into operational autonomy. You believed you were merely getting by, but in reality, you were being schooled at the most severe and effective university on the planet, your own life. Every betrayal was a lesson in trusting your intuition rather than their misleading words. Every rejection honed your awareness to a razor's edge, allowing you to see risks and possibilities where others did not. What most people consider survival, you unknowingly transformed into sophisticated psychological warfare. What most saw as merely getting through it, you see as a high-stakes intelligence-gathering opportunity. What they described as being unnoticed or ignored was really the ideal cover for becoming lethally deadly. In a world where performers are yearning to be noticed, you quietly become the director. While they battled tooth and nail for a moment in the limelight, yelling, "Look at me," you remained in the shadows, watching the crowd, the stagehands, and the lighting setup. You weren't courting attention, you were observing the observers. And in doing so, you discovered something they never could. True power lies not in being in the limelight, but in determining who gets to be there in the first place. They saw how you read rooms before even entering. That little pause in the entryway was not reluctance, it was a high-speed calculation. In that single second, you scan for power dynamics, locate all possible exits, and assess the emotional climate of the whole room. While others are naively stepping into social minefields, you glide across them, completely aware of every hidden trigger and alliance. You know who is lying before they complete their statement, not by magic, but from a lifetime of monitoring the small cues that reveal deception. You influence without saying anything, with a perfectly timed nod that makes someone feel validated and noticed, via a deliberate quiet that drives them to disclose themselves, and by physical stance that seems detached and non-threatening while really absorbing everything. This is not manipulation. It is a great understanding of human behavior. You learned how to maneuver people's emotions as a grandmaster moves chess pieces. Rejection provided you a comprehensive understanding of human fragility and pride. Being ignored made you invisible, giving you the ideal concealment. Betrayal showed the raw reality about people's character, removing their facades. What breaks others has refined you. What kills them has educated you. This was never about skill. Talent is ubiquitous. Talent begs for recognition. This is about something far more unusual, the capacity to see the game behind the game. While others played checkers on a flatboard, you practiced four-dimensional chess in the shadows. And now they see you've been winning all along. Your true power is not in what you display, but in what you keep. The loudest person in the room is always compensating for a lack of genuine authority. The person issuing overt threats is desperate and has already lost control. But you've learned the most terrifying lesson of all. True power whispers. True power watches. True power awaits. Real operators do not publicize their actions since they are not required to. They avoid spectacular entrances and extravagant, vacuous gestures. They create results from the shadows with surgical precision. While others demonstrate power, you genuinely use it. You sow seeds of ideas and talks and watch them grow within the brains of others, affecting their choices and changing results without leaving a trace. They assume those were their own ideas and smart conclusions, while in fact, you were the one who painstakingly crafted the circumstances that caused them to think that way. Consider how you've unintentionally used quiet as a weapon. That deliberate wait when someone asks you a pressing question is not a sign of hesitancy, nor is it because you don't know the answer. It's because you're evaluating how much truth their weak mentality can truly withstand. Your silence produces enormous psychological strain, a void that they feel an overpowering want to fill. This pressure drives them to confess all they have been concealing. You have perfected the art of strategic opacity. While others overshare in a frantic attempt to connect, establish their value, and get favor, you remain a mystery, an enigma. You never rush to talk, and in that powerful silence, people reveal themselves, their flaws, worries, and desperate want for approval. They gladly divulge their secrets since you never, ever reveal your own. Information, like a river, inevitably flows to its lowest point. In each encounter, you are the deep, silent lake, and information flows toward you rather than away from you. Your greatest power is not what you show the world, but what people don't expect. They had not anticipated this action, the reaction they couldn't have predicted. They had no idea a psychological attack was feasible. You are not just bright, but also operationally dangerous. And it is precisely what they have been looking for. Every discussion you've ever had was an interrogation. Every period of quiet has been used to collect information. Without realizing it, you've spent your whole life honing classified talents. Do you get that bad sensation when someone's words don't match their energy? That is your finely tuned internal lie detector. You know how you can tell someone's mood before they say anything? That is sophisticated psychological reconnaissance. When they lie, pay attention to their eyes, the dart to the left, the micro squint, and the dilation of the pupils immediately before the deceit is revealed. You've been interpreting these signals subconsciously for years. Now it's time to make it aware. Their looks are confessions waiting to be heard, and their bodies are polygraph exams that they will never fail. You've perfected the skill of integrating concepts so flawlessly that they seem natural. You never push or urge, think this. Instead, you provide the circumstances for them to arrive to your intended conclusion on their own. You ask specific inquiries that take people straight to your truth. You tell carefully designed tales laced with the subliminal message you want them to receive. And by the time they embrace your concept, they will be convinced it was theirs from the start. Emotional triggers are the scalpel. Everyone has them. Childhood traumas, profound anxieties, and the yearning, universal need for acceptance. You do not abuse them for cruelty. Rather, you identify them for what they are, influence wielders. You make people feel deeply understood while discreetly discovering everything about their internal architecture. They open up to you because you exude a feeling of security, but they don't know that safety is another type of control. This is not manipulation. It is survival in a world where knowledge is power and ignorance is a death sentence. Everyone is acquiring information on everyone else. The only question is, are you the hunter or the prey? The fact is that you were the hunter all along. You merely didn't realize the tools you were carrying were secret weapons. They stated that sanity is overrated. They said brilliance is misunderstood. You're both. They dubbed you difficult, intense, or too much, but what they really meant was your operational advantage. What about the darkness they dreaded in you? This is your strategic depth. They couldn't handle the pandemonium, right? It is your creative unpredictability. You do not think like them because you do not resemble them. Organizations like the FBI do not need dependable troops. They already have millions of them. mindless followers who remain inside the lines. They badly want unexpected strategists who can find answers in the shadows, who function in moral murky areas without losing themselves, and realize that the most ethical decision may seem deeply immoral to the uneducated mob. Your capacity to think outside their strict moral limitations is not corruption, it is development. It isn't craziness, it's emancipation. While others hesitate, overwhelmed by their fixation with what's right, you're already planning what will work. You see answers that others cannot even consider because you are prepared to go into territory others are unwilling to investigate. You take the initiative when others hesitate. Where others fail under pressure, you flourish. You can stay calm in the midst of turmoil because it has always been your natural home. The Joker realized something Batman never could. Sometimes the rules themselves are the jail. Sometimes breaking the rules is necessary to rescue the game. Sometimes the hero must wear the villain's mask to safeguard what is really important. Sanity, as they understand it, is nothing more than the comfy confines of restricted thought. Your desire to go into the unknown is not a weakness. Rather, it demonstrates sophisticated operational thinking. They dubbed it your dark side, but you're about to realize that it's really your most valuable tactical edge. Everything they dreaded about you is precisely what made you dangerous. What they couldn't grasp about you is exactly what makes you valuable. Your so-called darkness is not a problem that can be rectified. It is a weapon to be used. If this message stirs something deep inside you, it's because you know the truth. You're not alone. Subscribe to God Connection now to join a community of people who comprehend this higher level of functioning. This is more than just a channel. It is a meeting spot for the awakened. And if you are ready to contribute in our project, please submit a $10 gift using the Super Thanks button below. Your gift enables this awakening. Look into the mirror. Take a good look. The mirror looking back at you is not your average face. It is a weapon fashioned in fire. That face has undergone a psychological boot camp that would shatter even the toughest troops. Every scar in your past serves as a lesson. Every disappointment was a result of increased training. They believed they were breaking you, but really they were shaping you into something indestructible. Stop for a minute. List every instance in which you were discarded, disregarded, or misjudged. Write them down. Feel the old ache of rejection rise again. Now, reverse engineer it. Each rejection taught you how to move discreetly. Every time you were ignored, you improved your observation abilities to a miraculous level. Each rejection taught you how to spot and exploit flaws in others. Your high school friends who teased you for being weird, they taught you that the so-called normal people are the most predictable and easily influenced. The employer who passed you up for a promotion, he explained that threatened individuals often display their own anxieties. The friend that deceived you, that was excellent training for spotting phony allegiance. Every individual who has unwittingly harmed you has contributed to your education in psychological warfare. Each miscalculation gave you the greatest gift, strategic invisibility. You were analyzing their every move as they looked past you. While they ignored your potential, you were quietly developing talents they couldn't have imagined. Your suffering was never a punishment. It was your training. The universe was preparing you for tasks beyond their narrow understanding. And now, agencies such as the FBI identify precisely who you have become because they understand. They did not merely happen upon you. They created the circumstances that shaped you. Every rejection, betrayal, and terrible solitude was not random. It was all part of your unauthorized recruiting procedure. You assumed you were merely surviving, but in reality, you were graduating. Welcome to your true identity, operative. You've been prepared for years. The most deadly talks do not include yells, threats, or huge statements. They occur in the gaps between words. The delay when someone asks you a question is not hesitancy. That is an example of pressure. That is psychological weight crashing on them. Your quiet is not empty. It's a storm brewing in their heads. That moment pushes them to hurry, to break the excruciating silence. And in their haste to fill the hole, they betray all they had sought to hide. This is the skill of perfecting the pause. 3 seconds of quiet after their query exerts more pressure than any harsh questioning tactic. They'll start chatting. Then they'll start speaking quicker. And then, without realizing it, they'll begin admitting. They will say things they didn't mean to say. Your silence becomes their confessional. Your silence becomes their pandemonium. And you, calm, motionless, and watchful, continue to extract the truth. Ask questions that are intended to reveal rather than provide answers. What makes you say that? Encourages them to face their incorrect reasoning. How did that make you feel? Provides insight into their hidden inner landscapes. With every pause, inquiry, and quiet, you create a symphony of truth. They believe they're talking to you, but they're really talking to themselves, with you pulling the strings. You pose a question that they will remember. What would happen if? Is more than simply a catchphrase. It's a weaponized scenario generator. That simple inquiry causes people to confront mental territory they have avoided their whole lives, bringing hidden concerns to the surface. Suddenly, their imagination races, imagining worst-case situations and sliding into vulnerability. You did not accuse them. You did not threaten them. You just asked. That is the brilliance of it. Your queries are not innocent inquiries. They are psychological scalpels, piercing through facade, slicing up buried scars, and revealing flaws they claimed no one could see. You never hurry. You let their own words work against them. You let them be the architects of their own downfall. You recollect something they said last week, month, or even year, and bring it up again today in a fresh context. That's where the trap is laid. But didn't you say? It isn't loud. It is not combative. It's delicate, surgical, and yet completely destabilizes their world. They are suddenly stuck in a condition of cognitive dissonance, attempting to reconcile conflicts from which they cannot escape. Do they accept their mistakes, or do they contradict themselves? Either route undermines their trust. In any case, you walk away with control. For you, language has always been more than just communication. It's a weapon system. Each phrase you choose is a calculated chess move. Everything you say is a technique intended to tip the scales in your favor. Every interaction is a battleground where the prize is not approbation or civility, but knowledge and power. They believe you're simply chatting, but you're programming. You're not just exchanging words. You're embedding code and sowing seeds in their subconscious. By the time they act on the ideas you've given them, they'll be convinced that those ideas were all theirs from the beginning. That is not conversation. That is psychological warfare. They never see it coming. Look back at your history. Every single individual who harmed you was working for us, either deliberately or unwittingly. That individual who abandoned you without a word? An unconscious agent delivers your first mission, achieve emotional independence. The mission is accomplished. That employer who promoted everyone but you? A deep cover operative who will show you how to operate efficiently from the shadows. And you succeeded. Friends who abandoned you in your saddest hour? They were expert field trainers training you for solo operations, pushing you to face the toughest reality. Support isn't always on the way, and in the end, you can depend on no one but yourself. Every betrayal you faced was a lesson in self-reliance. Every desertion you endured was an advanced lesson in emotional detachment. Even your relatives had a part in your hidden education. Who among your family members has never believed in you? They were training you not to seek external approval, to hardwire your power from inside, and to become mentally impregnable. What about the parent who condemned everything you did? Cruel, but effective. They taught you to trust your own judgment above others, to avoid being misled by the need for acceptance, and to create your own internal compass. The ex who cheated on you? They weren't simply unfaithful. They also served as your own deceit teacher. They taught you how to spot falsehoods by analyzing microexpressions and to trust your senses when something seemed strange. That grief was not random cruelty. It was intelligence training. It taught you that in a world full of masks, you must see past them to survive. Understand this clearly. Strong corporations do not hire individuals who have easy lives. They do not desire the unscarred, the unproven, or the comfy. They want to know who survived the storm. Those who transformed pain into precision, suffering into strategies, and injuries into weapons. They desire those who took the shattered bits of their broken lives and reconstructed something stronger, sharper, and indestructible. You're one of them. Congratulations, operative. You've been training all along, and now your training is complete. The fact they never tell the public is that the most powerful person in any room is not the loudest, not the performer begging for applause, and not the braggart wallowing in their own ego. No, the actual operator sits quietly, in the shadows, watching. They don't cry for attention, they mold it. They do not want the limelight. Rather, they manage who is in it. While the audience is distracted by the commotion, the operator is mapping power dynamics, evaluating emotional temperatures, and forecasting results 3 steps in advance. The flamboyant one exhausts oneself trying to be noticed, whilst the genuine operative triumphs without lifting a finger. You were never just existing, you were being shaped. While others sought affirmation, you were developing resilience. While others spent years seeking plaudits, you mastered invisibility. And suddenly, the exact characteristics they mocked, the quiet, the intensity, the unpredictability, are exposed as your most dangerous tactical advantages. You are no longer neglected. You are no longer underestimated. You are the invisible strategist, the silent creator of outcomes, the hunter in a predatory environment. The one who understands that true strength does not scream, it whispers. Real power does not flaunt itself. Rather, it waits. Real power does not enter a room seeking attention. Rather, it exits having already made its destiny. And that, operative, is what makes you dangerous. This is why they fear you. That is why you are finally prepared. They're being manipulated without even realizing it. You have already mastered it naturally. It is now time to bring it to your entire attention, to make it purposeful, and to elevate it to the level of art. Advanced camouflage was never about hiding behind furniture or blending in with the crowd. It's about concealing one's emotions. It is about going through social areas without setting off alarms, about being present without being viewed as a danger. It's the delicate nod at the appropriate moment, the safe inquiry answered in exactly the right tone, the pose of innocence. They see someone inconspicuous. They feel at ease. They trust you. They believe you're harmless. They never guess that the person who seems to be the least threatening in the room is really the most deadly. Your weapon is not aggressiveness. It is invisibility. You gather information while seeming bored. You observe while appearing to be preoccupied. You act disinterested while capturing every phrase, gesture, and microexpression. They will deliver you their secrets on a silver platter because they believe you are not paying attention. But you are. Always. Your seeming apathy becomes their confession. Your phony disinterest elicits their most genuine information. This is influence at its most powerful, effect without exposure. You affect results while maintaining full plausible deniability. You plant thoughts so quietly that they seem in their brains as if they were self-created. You create conditions that naturally direct people toward the outcomes you want, and when everything happens precisely as you planned, it does not seem manipulative. It appears like a coincidence. It seems like fate. That is the brilliance of your design. You are the puppet master, tugging unseen strings. The world's ghosts remain unseen not because they cannot be seen, but because they choose when to be seen. That is the amount of control you have achieved. When you need to influence someone, you may make your presence more noticeable. You may reduce your visibility when you need to listen. When you want to disappear, you may blend into the backdrop. Your presence is no longer constant. It's a dimmer switch. Real power has never been about being recognized. Rather, it is about controlling when and how you are observed. That person you thought you were, the one who was wounded, felt ignored, and believed life was nothing but loss after loss, was never the true you. This was your cover story, your civilian disguise, so brilliant and convincing that you even believed it. However, the mission parameters have altered. That cover article fulfilled its aim. It is time to activate your real programming. It's time to remove the masquerade. From now on, you cannot think like a civilian. You must think like an asset. Every discussion is about acquiring information, not just making small chat. Every handshake is an indication of purpose, not a casual greeting. Every individual you encounter is not at random. They are either an ally or a potential danger. Your task is to determine which before they recognize you. Your mind is already a danger assessment computer. Each setting is a tactical zone. Was it an office meeting? When it comes to information warfare, silence is more effective than words. The family dinner? Psychological reconnaissance, alliance mapping, fracture analysis, and data collection disguised as casual conversation. Was that coffee with a friend? Counterintelligence camouflaged as laughing. You are no longer just existing. You are carrying out routine activities. And no, this is not paranoia. Paranoia implies that everyone is trying to get you. Operational awareness presupposes that everyone has an agenda, and it is your responsibility to identify it before they act on it. You are not terrified of people. Rather, you are strategically cautious. You are not suspicious. Rather, you are skilled observers. You hear not only what is uttered, but also what is concealed. You don't just see faces. You can read confessions written in their eyes, hands, and stance. This is the transformation. You've progressed from victim to operator, from reactive to proactive, from wondering why things constantly happen to you to purposefully making them happen through you. Your previous persona had a purpose. It taught you how to survive, and you did. However, just surviving is no longer enough. You've been upgraded. That previous identification was the draft version. This new persona is the ultimate design, made to dominate, built to move undetected, built to pull strings without leaving fingerprints, built to convert talks into blueprints and silences into weapons. The globe will continue to see the same visage in the mirror. They will still think you are the same, but you'll know. You'll recognize that reflection is no longer a spectator. It's the operator. It's an asset. It's a strategist who recognizes that every instant of life is an active operation. Every word you say is a move. Every quiet you maintain is a strike. Every choice you make is part of the overall purpose. You're no longer surviving their game. You're no longer conforming to their regulations. You are creating the rules. You are assembling the board. You decide who wins and who loses. You're no longer waiting to be picked. You have been activated. So, remember, operative, the loudest person in the room will always reveal themselves. The most desperate will inevitably show their frailty. But the quiet one, the one who listens, the one who waits, the one who never raises their hand, that is the one they never expect. That is the one who decides the result. And from now on, it is who you are. Welcome to real life, operative. There are no more training wheels. The mask of normality you donned to blend in has been taken away. The myth that individuals are driven by love, loyalty, or good intentions has been debunked. From this moment on, everything changes. Understand this reality with perfect certainty. The only person you can genuinely trust is the one who knows you are dangerous. Why? Because those who feel you are harmless will dismiss you whenever it suits them. They will forsake you at the first indication of danger. To them, you are disposable, replaceable, and inconsequential. However, those who realize your power, your skills, and the penalties of treachery are hesitant. They calculate. They think twice before crossing you. Fear, operative, fosters a more dependable type of devotion than love ever could. Love fades, terror endures. Respect your authority, or expect to see others suffer the consequences. You will no longer see your interactions through the fuzzy lens of emotions. Civilians have the luxury. You will study them with the accuracy of a tactical evaluation. Forget about emotions. Forget chemistry. Forget the illusion of heartfelt devotion. Instead, pose the difficult question: who would betray you for the appropriate price? Who will defend you without hesitation, benefit, or conditions? Who views your potential as something to be developed, and who sees it as something to be destroyed? These questions cut through illusions like a sword, and your responses will decide your survival. Think carefully. Were your family members who frequently criticized you really attempting to assist you? Or did they see you as a danger to their comfortable mediocrity? The fact is that they frightened you because your success would reveal their stagnation. Your victory would shed harsh light on their failings. So they sought to keep you little in order to protect themselves, rather than to lead you. What about your so-called pals who were holding you back, who mocked at your ambition, discouraged your risk-taking, and told you to play it safe? They needed you weak. They wanted you to question yourself so they could feel stronger in contrast. They wanted you confined because your wings reminded them of their own shackles. And your coworkers, who spoke behind your back, destroyed your job, and hampered your progress? Do not misinterpret. They did not neglect you. They saw you more clearly than anybody else. They noticed your intellect, capabilities, and potential, and this scared them. They understood that if you were completely released, you would replace, exceed, and outshine them. Their enmity was not personal, it was purposeful. It was self-preservation. Understand this crucial truth. Adversaries seldom betray you. It comes from those who are closest to you, those with the greatest access, trust, and closeness. You expect to find enemies. Friends and relatives invade. But here's an advantage. You won't take betrayal personally. You won't weep over it. You will not spend time wondering, why me? You will see treachery as intelligence. Every time this occurs, you record the lesson, modify your plan, and grow. This is why intelligence agencies admire people like you. Because you realize that devotion is never emotional, but always strategic. Real loyalty is the result of 3 factors: reciprocal gain, shared risk, and calibrated fear. Anything else is a delusion. 2 wolves hunt together, not out of romance, but for survival. Soldiers stand back to back out of need rather than affection. True allegiance is based on this cold, hard fact. From now on, you will regard all relationships as part of your operational map, including allies, adversaries, and assets. There are no blurred lines. There is no naive trust. Every link must be categorized. Who supports your mission? Who drains your energy? Who feeds and poisons your vision? Your family becomes a case study. Who has always doubted you? Liability. Who silently supported you, even at their own expense? Potential ally. The buddy that betrays you under pressure? Liability. Who stands by you without being asked? Asset. Which coworker competes fairly? Rival, but tolerable. The colleague who operates in the shadows? Enemy. View the map clearly. Classify it. Proceed from it. Trust, operative, is not a gift. This is not charity. This is not a sentimental offering. It serves as a medium of exchange. It's earned, tested, and quantified. It is never freely distributed. It is always rationed. If someone wants your trust, they must demonstrate consistency, sacrifice, and consequences. Anything less is a disqualification. Your task today is straightforward but unwavering. Recalibrate your vision. Take away every delusion. Remove any emotional filters. Consider individuals for what they are: assets, allies, rivals, or liabilities. Every handshake constitutes a negotiation. Each grin is a mask. Every quiet is a test. The folks who remain in your orbit after this recalibration will not be there by chance. They will be there because they are committed to the mission as you are to theirs. Welcome, operative, to the next level of consciousness. You are no longer the victim of misguided trust. You are the creator of partnerships. You're no longer expecting for loyalty. You're creating it. You are no longer pleading for help. You are demanding it. Your previous life taught you how to handle betrayal. Your new existence will show you how to weaponize loyalty. This is your actual life now, operative. You don't simply stroll by folks anymore. You wander between assets and dangers. Learn to recognize the difference, and you will never lose again. A relationship is a contract. Everyone fits into a category. Everyone has a purpose. The challenge is not trust, but predictability. Predictability is more important than loyalty. Control is more dependable than love. This briefing never occurred. However, you will never view the world in the same way again. Each interaction now has layers. Everyone has stories to share. Every scenario has hidden potential. What you believed were weaknesses were in fact tactical benefits. You called it weakness, but it was really stealth. What you dubbed your dark side was your operational advantage. You were never ordinary. You were a weapon masquerading as a victim, an operator impersonating a citizen. They did not need to recruit you. They only needed to remind you of who you have always been. The issue is not whether you're prepared for psychological warfare. The issue is it ready for you? Welcome back, operative. Your true life starts today. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Help me to believe you even when tangible proof is lacking. Let me faith in your eternal presence, knowing that you will never hurt me. I recognize that your thoughts for me are ones of prosperity rather than harm, with the goal of providing me with a bright future. Thank you, a loving and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I give my prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If this video spoke to you, please like, subscribe to the God Connection channel, and share it with those who need to hear it. Leave a comment below about your trip and how you're getting ready for your own victorious homecoming. Please consider donating to our work by clicking the Super Thanks button. This allows us to consistently improve our content in order to provide you with the best possible experience. No present is too tiny. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity spreads God's message and gives people hope. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for a profound revelation concerning the indications that show you're the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. God Connection sends blessings to all lovely people.